Well, people who are not willing and able or able to attend university for a variety of reasons, or people who, shall we say, had their university education experience a while ago, will be able to have access to the same sort of concepts or ideas and discussions that we had in class here on Logan campus. And I wanted to do something in my this stage of my career, which was both very student-centered, while also trying to think about the land-grant mission of a public university such as Utah State, and the role we have to try and reach out and communicate with the general public. I wanted to help professionalize our students, empower them, and help them develop their voice in talking about international affairs. And I thought that Aggies GO would be a wonderful way to do that, while at the same time providing a venue or a resource for the community. Although I've always enjoyed my teaching, I have never enjoyed it nearly as much as I do here. I have had consistently just such a high level of great interaction with students here, and frankly, I'm just so proud of the students here, and especially my Aggies GO team.
The very nature of the toolkit is it's academic in nature rather than political in nature. And so we have key concepts that are very much framed in an academic framework of geopolitics that we've simplified down into basic definitions through which the readers can view the world and kind of apply and connect to these concepts.
Its purpose is to give people a clearer mind about the things they're reading, about the things that are going on. Not so much as help them relax and be cool about it, but let them be aware of maybe things they never thought of being aware about, and help them disregard things that might have been bothering them that aren't actually important.
Geopolitics doesn't have a political, it doesn't lean towards a political party or anything. It's objective, and it says, here's the information and here's a toolkit to understand it. Regardless of affiliation or even nationality, this is the way we can understand it, and it's for everybody.
I'm a member of the American nation. Well, what is a nation? Our website can help you know what that means and what you're saying when you say that. And so there are decisions you might make under the context of being a member of the American nation that you might not make when you understand a bit better what a nation is. Not whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing, but when you understand why it is you think you need to make that decision as a member of the American nation.
I moved to Germany in high school, and that was kind of eye-opening, like, oh wait, these processes actually affect my country, they affect me as a person, even if I was choosing to ignore them. And it was all very overwhelming, but I wanted to be a part of it, so that's kind of what got me on this international studies track. And it wasn't until I got into the international studies classes, the national security policy classes, the geopolitical classes, until I was able to understand and kind of be comfortable, and all of a sudden all this information that was so scary and overwhelming to me as a high school student is now more, there's clarity there, right? And there's connections that are forming, and connections to myself as an individual, like, this matters to me now. And this idea that we're all a global citizen kind of came true. And I think that's what we're trying to convey through this website, is to those high school students, to those, age doesn't really matter for our audience, but whoever's just feeling overwhelmed by these processes that they're seeing on the news and everything that's going on, to state this is applicable to you, we all belong in this global community, and B, it's not so overwhelming as it needs to be. We've tried to simplify as much as possible from that class, from that framework, to kind of just convey and cover a very wide area of this academic framework, simplified down, and I think we have like 10 different subcategories of definitions that as the readers first read those definitions and then read the articles that connect then back to the definitions, they can see not only how they relate, but how they can better understand the world through these definitions.
Aggies GO is a way to learn more about the world, to connect it, using terms that normally, like we've been stating before, academia normally use. And so not in a simplified way, but in a way that makes sense to people without a background in politics or geography.
I think really it's whoever's just interested in learning. We all have a passion and this natural sense to want to learn. Sometimes we don't all have the resources to do it, but I think ideally, and maybe Professor Flint can expand on it, we want it to be accessible to everybody. So I imagine students, little geeks like I was back in high school, junior high, that are just wanting to find out more. Now they have a resource to do it. I see, maybe people that have left college for 20, 30 years, maybe stay-at-home moms, maybe people in their own careers that may not be internationally linked, but they still have an interest. I know Katie, the other writer on the project, she was sharing it with her grandma. So really, our audience is unlimited.
And so it really is a learning experience without having to leave. You can just open your phone, tablet, or computer, and you're transported to somewhere else in the world. And not just somewhere to look at it, but somewhere to learn and to understand the place.
But a lot of my classmates are very convinced that their whole worlds just existed in their small little community, their small little bubble, which is great. But I think the most helpful attribute of Aggies GO Global is just that connection, that interaction, to change their perception a little bit on the world. Just as traveling did to me growing up, this is a way for them to be able to kind of get outside the Utah bubble a little bit without actually having to leave, the comfort of their own homes.
Whether or not we see it, we're all interconnected and things make a difference. And so geopolitics helps us realize the spatialness of politics.
It's helped me look at my national identity objectively and look at America as another actor rather than my actor. I'm still obviously an American citizen and I vote and everything, but when it comes down to it, geopolitics helps you not feel the strain of bias.
It takes away just like, oh, they're bad, they're good. It's like, well, we all have to make decisions. Like one of the things we talk about on the website is geopolitical codes. And every state has to decide who's good and who's bad and how to explain that to the world. And so every country has their own nuances, every state, and everybody's different. So geopolitics takes that into a context that says we need to recognize that there are so many differences, and yet we can understand it better through the way that geopolitics presents the information.